Hello, everyone.
Just a minute. Go.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Livermore Indivisible's Extended Alameda County District Attorney Candidates Forum. On November 14th, 2021, Livermore Indivisible hosted a forum for the candidates running for the Alameda County District Attorney. At the time, 3 candidates declared their intent to run for Alameda County District Attorney. The 3 candidates, Pamela Price, Terry Wiley, and Jimmy Wilson, participated in the November forum. Since then, another candidate has entered the district attorney race, Seth Steward. In order to evaluate all of the candidates running for district attorney, Livermore Indivisible invited Mr. Steward to this extended forum. Fortunately, he has accepted, and today we are conducting and recording the extended forum. The format: Mr. Stewart will have 3 minutes to introduce himself. He will then be given 2 minutes to respond to questions that we ask at the November District Attorney Candidates Forum. And the final 2 minutes will be set aside for his closing remarks. Mr. Stewart, if you'd like me to repeat any question, please just ask. Helen will be timing you. And please, Mr. Stewart, your introductory remarks.
Well, thank you. Can you everybody hear me okay? I'm getting a little bit of feedback.
You're good.
Okay.
You're fine.
Okay. Thank you so much, Livermore Indivisible, for giving me the opportunity to have this conversation today. I really do appreciate it. And I'll start out by saying we need to be smarter on crime. And the system is broken, and the DA's office is a part of that system. My name is Seth Steward, and I am running for Alameda County District Attorney, and I am the best candidate to change this office and be your next DA. As a proven prosecutor, decorated veteran, public school teacher, and policy leader, my lived experiences give me a distinct viewpoint and understanding of not only the DA's office, but the criminal justice system. Originally hired by our now Vice President Kamala Harris as an assistant district attorney in the city and county of San Francisco, I prosecuted various cases, including arson, domestic violence, hate crimes, and general felonies, including robberies, burglaries, kidnappings, thefts, shootings, etc. While working as a prosecutor, I earned a degree at the Harvard Kennedy School of Government, and I started working, and I joined the Air Force part-time as a flight engineer on a combat search and rescue helicopter. I was deployed to both Iraq and then later to Kenya. Also during that time, I taught criminal law at City College of San Francisco and Oakland Technical High School. The motto of Air Force Rescue is "These things we do that others may live." And I bring that same commitment to being a veteran, to being a prosecutor, to being a policy leader, and being a public school teacher. And I bring that same commitment, and I will bring that same commitment to the Alameda County District Attorney's Office. In my current role as Chief of Staff for Oakland City Council member Dan Call, I've effected change in complex, difficult systems, engaged stakeholders, and built coalitions. As District Attorney, I will make sure that our resources are focused on violent crime. I'll make sure that we expand alternative courts, and I will leave it outside of the courtroom to make sure to bring innovative solutions to address the roots of crime. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. My name is Seth Steward, and I look forward to the opportunity to earn your vote.
Thank you very much. Now we'll start our questions. The first question is, the Alameda County DA's office has approximately 150 attorneys, 60 police officers, and 9 offices, and represents more than 1.5 million residents. What applicable experience do you have running a department this size? And how would you ensure a smooth transition and continuing effective operation in the DA's office?
So as Chief of Staff for Oakland City Council Member Dan Kolb, and as Director of the Small Business Commission for the City and County of San Francisco, I've managed both people and budgets. That said, experience for running a large organization is really a question about leadership. It's a question about values. It's a question about character. My values, my central values, the ones I live my life by, are service, excellence, and fairness. And I will bring these things to the Alameda County DA's office. I've shown time again through my experience as a veteran, as a teacher, as a prosecutor, and as a policy leader that I fight for service. I make sure that I provide excellent service. All quality is a standard, and that we make sure that everything is fair. There are great people in the DA's office, and they need someone who's ready to be able to execute their vision and manage the office, and I'm ready to do those things.
Our next question is, what specific challenges does the DA face in Alameda County, and what changes would you make, if any?
My whole platform is about change. It's 12 different points. We'll go through, I'm sure, some of them throughout this, but they include things like being smarter on crime and following the science, focusing on violent crime, and leading outside of the courtroom. Those are just three, but there's significantly more points. In terms of what's happening, the system is broken. The status quo is not working, and we need to be able to build trust. One of the ways that we can build trust is really fighting racism and bias in the system. We need to be able to expand victims' rights, and we need to protect the rights of immigrants. All of these things help build trust. The other thing I will make sure that I add in this particular thing is we need to be able to prosecute officers who abuse their authority. So we need to make sure that nobody is above the law. And I'm sorry about the barking in the back. There's some folks walking their dogs, so that's what's happening. That's me.
Okay, the next 4 questions deal with charges. How would you decide what charges to prosecute, and which considerations are most important to you?
And I just want to take a quick step back and say the reason why this question is so important is because the district attorney has the sole decision-making power on who gets charged and what they get charged with. And so this race is critical because there's only one office that makes that decision, and that's the district attorney's office. In regard to that decision, we need to be able to focus on violent crime. We need to prosecute officers who violate the law. And we need to make sure that people feel safe here in Alameda County with regardless to the color of their skin, what national origin they happen to be from, or who they decide to love. All of these things are in terms of hate crimes, and we need to be able to prosecute hate crimes to the full extent of the law. Everybody needs to be able to feel safe.
Thank you. Will you prosecute for property crimes seeking a prison sentence, especially if the accused has multiple related offenses? As examples, car break-ins and catalytic converter thefts. If not, why not?
So, property crime is a ridiculously important thing, and it needs to be taken seriously. For example, I talked with some people who live and work in Oakland's Chinatown, and people are very scared to be able to go and participate in the economy, whether it's going to their local shop, whether it's going to their park and taking their kids to the park. They're worried their car is going to get broken into. And I think that there is a distinction between different types of property crimes that we have to be able to make. If, for example, we have a mother who runs into Walgreens and grabs some diapers and runs out. So that's a theft, it's a property crime. And that type of person, I think that we can expand alternative courts and diversion programs and be able to figure out exactly what's at the heart of that issue. And I don't think that person needs to go to prison at all. That said, that's totally different than when you have a coordinated, organized theft ring of 80 people attacking a small business and stealing everything in the store. That's a completely different question. And those folks absolutely need to be prosecuted.
Thank you. What are your thoughts on the death penalty and life without parole?
I am against the death penalty. I will never seek it. I will never ask for it. I think that the state should not be in the business of killing people. I'll add that there is this new tool put together pushed forward by this organization called For the People that allows for resentencing of people that are currently serving sentences in prison. And I think that we need to review all of the over 40 members of the Alameda County, people in Alameda County who are currently serving on death row, and see if we can think about seriously commuting those sentences to life without the possibility of parole.
Thank you. What factors will you consider in whether to charge law enforcement officers when they have killed or injured a civilian in the line of duty? As an example, Jacob Bauer in Pleasanton in August 2018.
So the standard for whether or not we charge a case is beyond a reasonable doubt, and if we can prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt. And I think it's important for us to be able to build trust in the system, for people to know that law enforcement is not above the law, that no one has a right to hurt people, kill people, injure people with impunity. So with regard to the DA's office, and I'm sorry, just one more thing I'll add in there. We know that officers here in Alameda County, Black people make up 44% of people killed by law enforcement, even though Black people are only 11% of the population. And whereas there's evidence of misconduct, we will investigate that misconduct. And if there's evidence of a violation of the law, we will prosecute those cases. I will hold law enforcement accountable. In addition to that, we will establish office-wide guidelines and practices to make sure that we disclose to the defense any history of misconduct at the earliest point in the prosecution. In addition to that, we will work with police departments to develop policies and trainings to reduce violent interactions. I will make sure I will not accept any donations from law enforcement associations or unions, and we will advocate strongly to end the abusive practices at Santa Rita Jail.
30 seconds.
Thank you very much. The next two questions involve the relationship between the DA's office and law enforcement. How would you describe a desirable relationship between the DA's office and law enforcement? Please include in your response if you have already or will accept campaign donations from law enforcement unions and associations.
Looks like I kind of covered this one in the one earlier, but I'll definitely address it. So the most desirable relationship is a relationship that has both mutual respect and accountability. And so what that means to me is that we treat each other fairly, we treat each other honestly and respectfully. And if there's a violation of the law, make no mistake, we will prosecute those cases. Additionally, the question about taking money, we will not take money from law enforcement associations. We will not take money from law enforcement unions. There's an inherent conflict of interest there where obviously if the DA's office starts prosecuting a member of law enforcement, that prosecution may be colored by money that had supported that person running for office. And so the easiest way to address it is just say, I can't take any money from any of these groups because that creates a potential conflict of interest. And so I completely agree with that. And then just briefly going into the sheriff, just I think last week, there was an agreement by the judge to enter into the consent decree in Santa Rita Jail because due to the unconstitutional services with regarding to mental health. And I support that consent decree. It's critical for us to be able to serve the people that are in jail. They need to be able to come out of the jail in a way that is safe, in a way that makes sense, and in a way that is constitutional and meets the bare bones minimum of what is required by law. We have to do that. I want to make sure that that happens. It's incredible that those abuses continue and they need to stop.
Thank you very much. You addressed this a little bit in the last question, but we're going to talk about the county jail and police budget in this question. What is your position on sharing the county jail and police budget with separate services for those dealing with mental health and addiction issues?
I'm sorry, can you repeat? You said sharing the county budget?
Sharing the county jail and police budget with separate services for dealing with mental health and addiction issues.
Oh, okay. So absolutely. I think that the police should definitely have an opportunity to deal with mental health issues. There's a great program in Pleasanton, for example, where there's a mobile health unit where a mental health person rides around with police officers and is able to address mental health issues on the spot. There needs to be a budget for that. That needs to be expanded. The Alameda County system also has mobile crisis units, and those folks will respond to mental health issues, and those also there needs to be money for those things. Absolutely. One of the things that happened in the consent decree and the settlement is that there needs to be additional funding to make sure, for example, that 30 days after someone is released, once somebody is released from jail, they receive the prescription medicine for 30 days. That's the kind of thing that needs to happen here in Alameda County to be able to make sure that people are safe, to be able to make sure that people are taken care of and they get the services they need. Absolutely. Mental health is critical overall to not only the criminal justice system, but also the overall health of the community. And we need to make sure that we support those changes and give the services, the people, the services that they need. Absolutely.
Thank you. Another question about the sheriff. Do you think the sheriff also acting as coroner poses a problem? Why or why not? Is there a solution?
Yes, there's a solution. Yes, I think it poses a problem. Quite simply, there are situations where there is a possibility that the coroner needs to determine the cause of death in the jail. So when that happens, there's a possibility that it's a homicide. And basically you're asking the same person or the same group of people to make a decision about the cause of death, and that essentially they're getting paid by the same person that essentially potentially caused that cause of death. And the simple solution to that is separated. Most counties, a lot of counties have a medical examiner that's separate and apart, standalone division from the sheriff, from the DA, from the public defender. That should be a separate unit that has its separate budget, has its separate staff, everything totally separate from the sheriff's office. So there's no even inherent or suggested conflict of interest, which you have here in this case, when the sheriff is over both the coroner and potentially the people that are causing the death that the coroner is then investigating.
Thank you very much. What outreach activities and plans do you have to mitigate racial or gender motivated attacks on individuals? As an example, LGBTQ+, and more recently, those of Asian descent.
So what I'd like to say, and I have it actually, my platform, SethSteward4DA.com, has a actual complete and total issue on fighting racism and bias and dealing with hate crimes. And so we know from all the way from Emmett Till up to Mario Gonzalez that the criminal justice system has failed our communities. We know that Black men are incarcerated in state prison 10 times the rate of white men. We also know that just last year, 2021, is the deadliest year on record for transgender people. Asian hate crimes just last year, 2021, have increased by 107% in California alone. So we are at a huge breaking point when it comes to people feeling unsafe, people in marginalized communities feeling disenfranchised by the system. As district attorney, I will make sure that we study and publish reports about disparities in arrests, intake, and outcome by charge and by race. I will make sure that we recruit annually at historically Black colleges and universities and law schools, top 20 law schools and Bay Area law schools, to create the most talented, diverse legal team that the county has ever seen. I will lead the fight against hate crimes. Hate has no place in Alameda County. I will seek felonies in hate-motivated crime. We will end Asian hate, and we will protect the LGBTQ community. We will make sure that people feel safe, and it doesn't matter who they are, what gender they are, who they love, what's the color of their skin, or where they are from.
Thank you. We have some highly dynamic California DAs now who are making significant changes. How will your policies compare, contrast with those of George Gascon of LA County and Chesa Boudin of San Francisco, for example? Would the possibility of a recall influence your policies?
I want to take a little bit wider step in terms of it's also happening outside of the state of California. There is this wave of district attorneys that are changing the criminal justice system, whether it's Larry Krasner in Philadelphia or Kim Fox in Chicago or in St. Louis or Manhattan or Portland, Oregon, and then also Los Angeles and San Francisco. All of these places have said, hey, we're going to change the way we do things. And I actually think it's interesting because I think Alameda County is behind in this respect. We argue that we are a very progressive county, and yet currently we think that the death penalty is okay. I am against the death penalty, and that's obviously one of the things that I would no longer seek while district attorney. I'd also say that some of those policies make complete sense. For example, when we discussed the death penalty earlier, we need to make sure that we reconsider resentencing from death to life without the possibility of parole. In addition to that, we need to implement trauma-informed services and culturally informed services to our victims who have been survivors of crime. This is critical to be able to provide safe environments for people who have suffered violent crimes at the hands of people here in Alameda County. And so with regard to those things, I completely agree with George Gascon. I think he mentioned a couple of those things. I'm in complete agreement with trauma-informed services, with ending the death penalty, absolutely. And I think that as a progressive DA, those are the things that are consistent with my platform, the 12 points that I put together in terms of protecting the rights of immigrants, expanding victim rights, expanding access to alternative courts, and again, eliminating cash bail and focusing pretrial detention efforts on persons who are causing damage or harm to the community.
Thank you. If you are elected, what will be the first action you will take as the Alameda County DA?
As district attorney, the first thing I will do is to listen to the community, listen to the staff, listen to victims of crime, listen to community-based partners, and have deep conversations about where they think the system is broken. Then we will work to set our priorities, and we will execute the bold vision outlined in my platform. We will follow the science. We will make sure that we are smarter on crime. We will make robust investments in data and analysis. We will focus on violent crime to make sure that those crimes get prosecuted. And we will lead outside of the courtroom to work with our partners to end the pipeline to make sure that we're not increasing the number of people who become victims and increasing the number of people who become defendants. We need to work with the Alameda County Board of Education, all of the different school boards here in Alameda County to make sure we're catching people at the front end so we don't have to catch them at the back end. I'm very excited about all of these things, and I'm really looking forward to be able to implement this vision.
Thank you. What have been your proudest achievements and growth-inducing disappointments in your career?
The motto for Air Force Rescue is "These things we do that others may live." And I was a member of Air Force Rescue for 8 years, and I'm proud of that service. I just finished literally last month in January. And when you do serve in rescue, sometimes the people that you try to serve are, you're able to make a rescue, and somebody lives because of the work that you did. And I think that that is critical because it's such an important part of Air Force Rescue to be actually to get a save. And I think that translates directly into being a prosecutor, to be able to make sure that we increase public safety, that we reduce the number of murders that happen here in Alameda County, and to reduce the number of violent crimes. That's critical. Similarly, with regard to greatest disappointments, also in Air Force Rescue, not everybody that you save lives. And I've been in situations where we thought we saved somebody, and
30 seconds.
And we didn't. And that hurts. And anytime that you have to experience a loss, you want to try to make sure that you do the best you can, that it never happens again. And similarly, here in the district attorney's office, we want to make sure that murder, rape, every single violent assault, that we don't have one more of those things. We need to aggressively fight to make sure that they don't happen, both acutely in the short term and also in the long term.
Thank you. What do you see as the biggest impediment to change in the criminal justice system in Alameda County? And how will you address that as the district attorney?
To me, the biggest impediment is lack of trust in the system itself. When people think about whether it's the police departments, the sheriff's office, the DA's office, criminal justice in general, people feel they don't trust that they're going to get the result that is fair and the result that is just. And it's my job as as district attorney here in Alameda County to make that happen. And I think that the policies that I'm presenting in my platform will build trust here in Alameda County, specifically fighting racism and fighting bias. We build trust by doing those things. By making sure we prosecute officers that violate the law, we build trust by doing those things. By making sure we reform youth justice, by making sure that we expand victims' rights and we protect the rights of immigrants, we build trust by doing those things. And so as district attorney here in Alameda County, it's essential that we build trust in the community, so we make sure that we can address and effectively change what happens here in Alameda County.
Thank you. Speaking of trust, our next question is about transparency. which is key, perhaps, to trust. The majority of community members do not know what goes on within the DA's office, charging, case disposition, etc. For example, the DA's office dismisses a large number of simple drug, theft, and other minor crime cases, while a law-abiding person is charged $400 for rolling a stop sign. What would you do to bring more transparency into the office and actively release statistical information to the public?
So this point is the very first bullet in my platform. It's be smarter on crime and follow the science. And what we need to do is make robust investments in data and analysis. We need to be able to determine what our policies are doing, how they are driving prosecution and sentencing. And so we need to develop data and research. One of the organizations that have done an incredible job of doing this is the Multnomah County District Attorney's Office. They have a dashboard set up where you can go to their website and you can see what types of cases they are charging, what happened with those cases in terms of how they were adjudicated, and where those cases occurred in Multnomah County. I think it's an incredible dashboard. I will definitely follow that model in terms of publishing our outcomes to the people of Alameda County so everybody knows the decisions that the DA's office is making and what are the basis for those decisions and how those decisions affect the lives of the people that live here. I would also make sure that I have been endorsed by Mike Schmidt, who is the Multnomah County District Attorney. And so I'm proud to be able to follow that model and be able to publish to the people exactly the type of decisions that we make, why we make them, and how we make them.
Thank you. This will be your final question. Many people in Alameda County view that gun violence is a top problem. Yet the Alameda County DA's office is not joining other DAs across California to sue ghost gun manufacturers. How will you, as the Alameda County DA, address ghost guns?
With regard to ghost guns, I want to say that I've already addressed them in the following respect, and you can tell what I'm going to do, based on what I've done. So I currently serve as Chief of Staff for Oakland City Council Member Dan Kolb. The city of Oakland just recently, in the past 3 weeks, I think maybe 4 weeks, just passed a ban on ghost guns and ghost gun kits. And so they are no longer something that you can buy, sell, or possess, either a kit or a ghost gun in the city of Oakland. We need to expand those laws to the entire county. We want to make sure that ghost guns have no place in Alameda County. They're not going to be sent here from Nevada, from Los Angeles, from any website. We are going to completely ban those things. And as district attorney, I would absolutely ask for a ban, and I would force a ban on ghost guns and ghost gun kits here in Alameda County. I would absolutely join any type of legislation and lawsuit with regard to making sure that ghost gun manufacturers will never send guns to Alameda County. Absolutely, unequivocally, we cannot have these guns in our streets. We cannot have these guns hurting our citizens, our sons, our daughters, our mothers, our fathers. This has to stop now.
Thank you very much. This concludes our questions that we have from Mr. Steward. Would you, now we would like to have 2 minutes for your closing statement.
Well, thank you so much for this opportunity to have a conversation. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you inviting me into your home to have this conversation. I know that you've had an opportunity to hear from the other candidates previously, and so I thank you for this opportunity to be able to share my ideas and what I think should happen here in Alameda County with regard to the criminal justice system and the district attorney's office. And as you know, my lived experiences as a veteran on a combat search and rescue helicopter, as an educator, as a policy leader, and as a proven prosecutor stand out and provide a distinct advantage and a distinct viewpoint on what I think about the DA's office and the criminal justice system. We need to be smarter on crime, and we need to be able to focus on violent crime. I have, and the other 10 of the 12 points are on my website at sethstewardforda.com. From a voter's perspective, there's a fairly large middle lane for reasonable, thoughtful change. And make no mistake, change is necessary. The system is broken, and the DA's office is a part of that system. My strategic goals to focus resources on violent crime, to send more cases to alternative courts, to lead outside of the courtroom, will keep us safe and reduce crime. We also need to end the death penalty, fight racism, fight hate crimes, make sure that we fight bias, and make sure we prosecute officers who violate the law. Please go to sethstewardforda.com for additional information. Thank you for your consideration, for having a conversation about criminal justice here in Alameda County. My name is Seth Steward, and I humbly ask you for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Steward, for participating in this extended candidates forum hosted by Livermore Indivisible and sharing your vision of how you would serve our county as DA. We appreciate your time and thoughtfulness in answering our questions.